with the help of the Almighty. Assalamu alaikum. I'm here as a guest from New York amongst my good brethren, brothers and sisters here. And we come, unfortunately, whenever we're coming here, it seems to be because we have to cry about what's happening in Palestine. We are always waiting and yearning for the day when we should come and gather to celebrate a free Palestine, inshallah, soon, we hope.
Inshallah.
But in the meantime, we have a responsibility to speak up, to cry out, and to voice our anguish, our despair on what is happening here. I can't put it, please. Because the issue, it's our Saturday now, so we're not allowed to, we don't speak into any microphones on Saturday because we're not allowed to on Saturday. That's why we actually walked here. We came, before Saturday, we came in from New York, and we are here again because of the importance of this issue. We've been traveling with God's help around the world since the beginning of Zionism. But now with this case, again, we had delegations and rabbis and students, Jewish students who've been traveling around the world. Wherever there's a major demonstration, not wherever, but as many places as we can, we've been joining in support and solidarity to speak about the issue of the occupation and the issue, as our statement says, we Orthodox Jewry worldwide never recognize the state of Israel or Jerusalem as its capital. That goes without saying, because if the state is illegitimate, then it obviously can't take the holy city as its capital.
Yeah.
The point is, I'll tell you in very brief that you should understand. Judaism is a religion to serve God. 3,000 years ago, we made a covenant to be subservient to God, to keep His Torah. That's all what Judaism is. We've been doing this for 3,000 years. Zionism just started 100-some years ago, and all of a sudden they claim to be the representatives, the spokespeople. They don't keep the 10 Commandments, they don't keep the Sabbath, they do everything what they want, and yet they have the audacity, the nerve, to say that they represent Judaism, and they ridicule all the rabbinical authorities around the world, and they have the power of the microphone. They're connected to the leaders in the West, and they say, oh, we are mainstream, we are the representatives of Judaism. Imagine an atheist, because he knows many languages and very rich, a billionaire, will become the Pope. And he says he doesn't believe in God, but he's rich and he's smart, he has a lot knowledgeable, a lot of languages, successful, so he's the Pope. Everybody will laugh at that. They will say, how can you be the Pope if you don't believe in God, right? I mean, it's simply they're coming and speaking in the name of a religion, 3,000 years. We gave our lives for our religion. We went through the Inquisition. We went through the Crusades. We were burnt at the stake in Spain, in Portugal. My grandparents died in Auschwitz. We died for our religion. And we remain loyal, because that's what our whole issue is, that our souls, to serve God. Part of serving God is not to kill and not to steal, not to oppress the people. Part of our religion is to show gratitude. When we were being persecuted by the Inquisition, when we were being persecuted by the Crusades, and even by World War II just recently, the Jews turned and ran to Muslim countries. We found a home, a safe haven. We were embraced. We flourished in every Muslim country. And that's a fact. You can go to these Muslim countries, every one of them. Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, Yemen, wherever you will go. Iran, anywhere. You'll find Jewish cemeteries full, tens and hundreds of thousands of graves for all the generations. You'll find synagogues that were up to recent, till around Zionism. And then all of a sudden things changed. There's barely a Jewish communities. Why is that? It's not to do with the religion, because if it would be a difference of religion, then it would have, before there were human rights groups, there would have been an explosion. We would have been at each other's throats. But no, on the contrary, the Jews were embraced. We flourished in the Muslim countries, even though we have a distinctly different religion. We live together. This young rabbi's grandmother told them how they babysat their children, the Muslim and the Jewish. They babysat when they went to synagogue. They lived in Palestine. This is a fact of history, and anybody can prove this fact. It's not something that I'm trying to sell you a story. Yes, you're Arab and Muslim parents and grandparents from any Muslim country, or Jewish from these older generations. And Zionism comes along, they represent Judaism, they say, and they have a new narrative, that we have a religious conflict between Muslims. Muslims are evil, they say, they hate the Jews. And people buy their narrative. There's nothing more despicable and vile than this. Because we are Jews, we are here. Because we are Jews, we are in opposition to this occupation in its entirety. Not only of Jerusalem, the whole occupation, every single home that has been stolen from the Arabs, from the Muslims. Our hearts cry, we are humiliated. It's being done in our name. They use the Star of David, an old Jewish symbol. They knew to use the name Israel, Jacob's name. This is vile, it's repulsive, it's unacceptable, and because we are Jews, we're here to proclaim that Judaism is subservience to God, a religion. Zionism is a transformation to...
With the help of the Almighty, I pray to the Almighty to bestow upon me His truth, His wisdom. We are always confounded by this seeming ignorance of the issues and the ignoring of what is happening. The issues are clear from day one. Well over 100 years ago, when this Zionist ideology came about of Jewish people creating their own sovereignty and then eventually deciding to make their sovereignty in the Holy Land, the rabbinical authorities in the Holy Land, the chief rabbi of Palestine, Rabbi Dushinsky, Rabbi Sonnenfeld at that time of blessed memory, and later in 1947, prior to the ratification of the State of Israel by the United Nations, the chief rabbi was Rabbi Dushinsky. He went at a meeting in Jerusalem with the members of the United Nations, and he pleaded with them in the name of Judaism and the religious community that we do not want in any form a state of Israel, that it is illegal, it is illegitimate. Judaism does not permit us to have a Jewish sovereignty, and Judaism does not permit us to oppress another people, steal their land, or any manner being compassionate to a people. On the contrary, we were living together with the Muslim community, with the Arabs and Muslims, for hundreds and hundreds of years in Palestine and every Muslim state in total harmony, without any human rights group to protect us. And since this creation of Zionism and then eventually the State of Israel, there is an endless river of bloodshed. It is impossible to subjugate a people and expect that there will be peace. Now, we're not condoning what is emanating from this fact that there is a state, but the fact is it defies logic. It flies in the face of tzedek, of righteousness, and everything that what humanity calls for by occupying